Hey everyone, this is Samoy from BI Storyteller, and in today's video I'm going to continue where we left off yesterday. So I finished part of the data modeling for the retails data set. Today I'm going to finish that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the transform data. I want to have a look at the columns or the columns that I can use and how I want to use them, and also kind of change the data types to ensure that I have everything the way it should be. So without further ado, let's get into that, and go into transform data. These on top here are my reference queries, so I really don't need to do anything with them at this point in time, nor do I need to do anything with the reference query for the product data. I pulled in the date table, so my dates here are in the format of DDYYYY. So I need to make this change because what I noticed is that in this data set, the date format is DDMMYYYY. So I'm going to be changing that, but I'll do that later. Uh, Before that, I want to go first into the products table, understand what's there, what I can use, how I can kind of use it, and then model the data and change the data types accordingly. So I'm going to keep the product ID as is. I have the product category name, which is in Spanish, but if you recall in the last video, there was also a corresponding product category name in English, right? So I don't need the product category name. I don't need this column at least anymore. I don't need the product name length, nor do I want the product description and the number of photographs available for that product category. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of these 4 columns. What I have remaining now is the product weight. So I want this. I definitely want this. I want the length, weight, and the length, height, and the width of the product. The reason I want these columns is based on these 3 columns, I can calculate the volume of the package. And what I want to do with that is I want to draw some kind of a correlation, or I want to kind of figure out what drives the shipping charges. Is it the weight of the product that drives the shipping charges, or is it the volume, or is it both? So I want to kind of do that analysis. So for that, I'm going to keep these 3 columns here. So I'm just going to change the name, weight. I'm going to keep this as is. I'm going to change the name of the product category. And I'm going to now also add a column where I'll calculate the volume or the demand or the total size of the package. So how I'm going to do that is I go to add column and I add a custom column. Rename that to volume, and it is length into height into width. So that gives me my total volume. Convert this to a whole number and we are done. So that's all that I needed to kind of change in the product table. Moving on to the orders table, I'm going to keep the customer ID, order ID as is. I want the order status, just want to rename it. And I have the order purchase timestamp, right? So this is the date time when the customer made the purchase. So I'm going to rename this to purchase date time. When was the order approved? So once the purchase was made, when was the order approved? So I'm going to change the name as well. The next column that we have is when did the seller send the package to the shipping company. So that's the column here. This is the column as to the date time the seller sent the package to the shipping company. So send to carrier, date, time. When was the order delivered to the customer? Date, time it was delivered to the customer. And what was the actual estimated date? What was the ETA on the customer receiving the package when they initially made the purchase? What was the estimated date time given to them in terms of delivery, right? So I'm going to estimated delivery date time. Now that's done. Now there are a couple of other columns that I probably don't need. I don't need the item ID because I don't have this column anywhere, so it doesn't make sense for me to keep this. So I'm going to get rid of this column. I'm going to keep the product ID and the seller ID. I'm just going to rename them. So rename the product ID. Rename the seller ID. Now this one here is kind of interesting because this is when the seller, or the max date and time, the seller is supposed to send your package to the shipping company for delivery. Okay, so I'm going to keep this shipping limit date time. And I'm going to also have to keep these columns. These columns are important. So this is the actual price of the product, right? So this is the actual price of the product that you purchase, the customer purchases. These are the shipping charges or the freight charges. And then towards the end over here is the total value or the total cost the customer has to pay, right? So I'm definitely going to need these three columns for sure. In addition, I also have the payment mode here, which is either credit card or Bolito. I don't need this column, and I don't need this column because there's no reference to this anywhere, and I'm not sure how I'm going to make use of this. So I will remove this column as well. And then I have the EMI, or the number of installments. So I'm going to rename that to EMI. This is the total value, or the final price that the customer has to pay. These are the shipping charges, and this is the item price. And I'm going to change the data type of these two columns to a decimal number. Change the name over here. And that's it. The other thing I do need to do actually over here is I need to convert this to a date time, which is the shipping limit date time. Otherwise, I won't be able to do any kind of calculations based on these columns. So yeah, so I think this is all I needed over here. So based on all of these date columns, there's a lot of kind of measures I can create. A lot of insights can be drawn just with these 5-6 date columns that we have over here, in addition to all the regular stuff, which is the total number of items sold and all of that stuff, which we will get into in our next session. So that's done. Okay, that's done. Moving on to the geolocation, I really don't need to make any changes here, nor do I need to make any changes to the customer table and nor to the sellers table. It's all good. Alright, so now I'm going to hit close and apply and commit my changes to the dataset. Well, that is all I had for today. I will talk to you tomorrow. When I start creating the measures and the visuals, we'll start from scratch. We will do a basic layout first, an overview, and then get into the analytics and see what kind of insights we can draw from there. We will do some time calculations, and we will kind of try and draw a correlation between the shipping charges in terms of are the shipping charges higher when the volume of the pack are the shipping charges dependent on the volume of the package or the weight of the package, or is it both? We just have to wait and see what the data tells us. In the meantime, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you loved it, subscribe, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much.